Hello friends, Phil Bechtel here with another episode of Gravity Falls Trivia, where we are going episode by episode answering trivia questions about one of the best shows ever. Today we are answering trivia questions from episode 4, season 1, titled The Hand That Rocks the Mabel. I'll read a question, start a short timer, then give the answer. Here we go. Question number 1. This is the episode that starts out with the kids watching Tiger Fist on TV, and they see a commercial for something called the Tent of Telepathy. What is the name of the character that runs the Tent of Telepathy? It's Little Gideon. You knew that. Question number 2. Grunkle Stan tells the kids that they are not allowed to go to the Tent of Telepathy because he does not like Gideon, but they end up going anyway. Gideon comes by the Mystery Shack the next day to pick up Mabel. He invites her to his dressing room, where they... What? What do they do while they're there? They do makeovers. Mabel comes back to the shack with makeup and fingernails that Dipper says looks like a Wolverine. Question number 3. Dipper does not like Gideon. He says that he does not trust someone whose hair is bigger than their head. But Mabel says Dipper never wants to do girly stuff with her, that he's always doing boy stuff with Seuss. And then Seuss comes in the room and he says, "Hey dude, you ready to..." What? What does Seuss want to do with Dipper in that moment? Seuss says, "Hey dude, you ready to blow up these hot dogs in the microwave one by one?" And of course Dipper's like, "Yeah, that's awesome." Question number 4. Mabel agrees to go on a date with Gideon. He shows up at the Mystery Shack for their date, riding a what? He's riding a horse. Of course, and Mabel is very impressed. Question number 5. In this episode, we learn that Gideon has a magical artifact that he uses. What is it? Gideon has a magical green amulet in his bolo tie. Question number 6. When Gideon and Mabel are on their first date, Gideon asks for a second date. When Mabel refuses, Gideon has an animal ask her for a second date. What animal does he use to ask her for a second date? Gideon uses a red-crested South American rainbow macaw, but I think bird or parrot would both be correct answers. Question number 7. In this episode, Gideon uses someone to help him lure Dipper to his warehouse. Who helps Gideon and gets Dipper to go to that warehouse? It's local reporter Toby Determined. He called Dipper and told him that he wants to interview him and had him go to the factory. Question number 8. At the factory, or warehouse, Dipper and Gideon end up fighting, and they roll out of a window and fall off a cliff. Who saves them? Mabel uses the magical bolo tie to save them before they hit the ground. Question number 9. What happens to the magical gemstone in Gideon's bolo tie? Mabel throws it against a rock and it breaks. Question number 10. At the very end of this episode, we see Gideon plotting against the Pines family. We see that Gideon is in possession of something very powerful. What is it? We see that Gideon has journal number 2. Thanks for joining me for Gravity Falls Trivia, friends. Check the show notes for links to other awesome podcasts that I know you'll love.